don't got no time for these games. Play them on your phone, not in my brain. Laying in my room till I go insane, 'cause you're not here. And I don't got patience for the lies.
Welcome back to the Futon Sessions. I still don't know what to call these little podcast episode things, but we're here with Andrew. How do you say your last name?
Narvaez.
I've been saying Narvaez. And my roommates haven't corrected me.
I don't think they know how to say it.
I was gonna say I don't think Kay knew it all. I was like, Kay, how do you say? He's like, oh.
It's funny.
I'm just gonna like hold this right here like this the whole time. But yeah, welcome on, bro. It was super fun. I think we planned to do this a while ago, but like with a couple other people I've had some issues because of my basement becoming a pool.
True. Not in a good way.
Not in a good way. I don't think there is a good way. At least not in Philadelphia.
No.
But yeah, I'm glad to have you on, man. Do you want to say anything, explain who you are to everyone?
Let's see. I'm Andrew. I'm 23. I make music. I sing. I play guitar. I write music. So I started off writing music that was like Christian music. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of just like transitioned into me like wanting to write about like real life stuff and show how like I see God working in my life rather than like being a typical like Christian artist that's like saying the same thing that everybody else says, but it's like this is like what God's doing specifically in my life, and then allowing other people to relate to it.
That's cool. Yeah. I think in the Christian artist world, like it is really easy to get sucked into the generic vibe of it, because the cookie cutter mold. Because like it's really hard to make it in the music industry. Christian music is a little bit easier, but that's because it's just so. This is all you got to do, and people like it, and it's just getting in front of the right faces.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I appreciate that about like artists in general when they're trying to break the mold of the genre they want to be in, because it brings out more creativity and just more enjoyment for the listeners, you know? Yeah. So if you guys played together for long, I know who you are, bro. You've been in like you're in the files of Top Knot Productions history. But
well, if this is your first time watching, my name is Paul, Raymond Paul. You can call me Paul. But yeah, me and Andrew have been working together for a while. Probably since 4 years ago we probably started, and I think my goal has always been to create music with AJ. That's always been it. It's just like I just want to make things and surf the songs that you're making, which has been a really cool journey, I think.
Yeah, I've seen your creativity a lot. Like I've seen you play with so many different bands and artists, and it's like you have a unique style that you're able to bring in, and you tweak it all the time to kind of fit into other people's stuff, and it just works out really well. And that's why everyone wants you playing with them.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean,
you're on that level. You're that guy.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, I'm making my way, trying my best to meet people and connect with people, and make their dreams a reality. To put it as epic as possible, but it's just music, man. You know,
we're gonna put that in the Raymond Paul guitarist promo video.
Yeah, there you go.
True.
So I've done a little, like the tiniest little bit of digging, and I saw some stuff about the Mint Collective.
Yeah.
Because I actually had one of your buddies from that on before. I had said Contra, Chris.
Yes.
He came on and did one of these before.
Give it up.
Got to have him back on, but like. Tell me a little bit about that, because like I'm still curious because I don't understand what it is.
Right. Yeah. So it all started in college. We were all in college together. We were all in school together. And so like when I was a freshman, I joined. Our school had like a band that would travel together and whatever. And so me and Paul were on that band together, and we were traveling and doing music and like doing all that stuff. And we kind of just like formed our little friend group with us and a couple other guys, and we had like an Instagram group chat, and we were just like trying to name the group chat. And Paul had this joke
Oh man,
of like, You want to?
Yeah, let me explain this.
Yeah.
Well, it was a joke. It was kind of, I'd worked at this summer camp. I had stolen this. This is deep information. I stole this phrase from one of my fellow counselors at this camp. He would use the phrase mink and bink, and he would use them as like automatopoeias. So like he would perform an action like shooting a basketball, and he would say mink when he shot it, and it was so funny. Like I loved it, and it caught on to me. I actually co-counseled with him, and like I started doing it. Then I exported that back from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where the camp was, back to Pendle, where I was living, and it just kind of caught on. But I actually wasn't the person who named the group chat that. I think it was said Contra, Chris, who put that as like the mink group name, and it's cool. It's a cool word. They're cool animals. People used to make coats out of them.
Yeah.
I looked, mink coats now are like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, well, they're small animals, so it takes like 50 of them to make a coat, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. Yeah, there's probably a mink farm. But all I'd say is like,
There is.
Big
yeah,
mink.
yeah, be a cool field trip someday. But the name is just kind of stuck. I don't think we actually used the phrase mink as like the way it was intended to anymore, like an onomatopoeia. We just kind of use it as a noun, which is just our group of friends who we make music together. I think our friend Caleb was kind of the guy who originally put together the Mink Music Collective, which was a lot of us. And he made the Instagram for it. But we've talked about making like a Mink band. You could talk about that because some of your songs have come from projects that we have started together. That
and like the cool thing too is like we all also have some sort of creative outlet, which is cool. So that's what I like about it. But yeah, like we talked about making like a Mink band or Mink like project, like an album kind of thing. And so like the song that I did, Don't Waste My Time, that kind of started from like a song that we had started all writing together as like the Mink band or whatever, like 2 years ago. And it just like didn't happen. We had a demo and it just like, we'd never finished it. And then I had like a song that I had recorded a voice memo of that was completely different, but like matched the concept, matched the vibe. And so I kind of just like put them both together. And like, that's what that whole song is. So I think that's a cool song because it all came together like ridiculously well. Like it makes sense. Yeah. And the feelings are the same. So it's like, that's one of my favorite songs. But yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. So that's the Minks.
It's always cool when you got an interesting background to a song like that. Like you never know where a good song is going to come from, especially what scenario it's going to pop out of. Yeah. Do you guys like, what do you currently do as the Mink Collective? Does it have any benefit? I saw you guys did a Mink Collective show, I think, a little bit ago. Do you guys like help? Obviously, you've helped each other with some projects, but is that something you guys try to like plan out and do together, or what?
Yeah, I think so. Like us going to school together, like a lot of us lived together as well. So like me and Caleb or Crooked Hill, like we were roommates or suite mates or whatever, and like we lived together, and like Paul would come over and hang out, and we would all just like my room would have my setup. We would be working on some of my songs, and Caleb would have his room set up with his songs.
Connected by a bathroom.
Literally connected by a bathroom. So we'd go back and forth recording stuff for different songs. And then people would we would come into the room. And then like we have like the apartment that Paul lived in first. And then he like moved into the city and I moved into his room with one of my other friends. Yes. Yeah. Yep. And so like that again, like I lived with Chris, said Contra or whatever. And like same deal, like he was doing his music in his room, I was doing my music, and like we were all kind of like every spot that we had was a creative place to where we were creating music together. So it just happened naturally that like we helped each other with music, and like John or Quetzal Blanco would like come in and like throw keys on a song, and then he would throw a verse on a Caleb song, and then like Paul would be there helping us with guitar, and like we'd be helping each other write. And so like that was just like a cool, it just happened type of thing. So I think that's why it's special.
It's good for promo.
True.
Like it helps to have an identity, I think. Like to like we've made shirts. You know, if you feel like you're a part of a group, like chances are you will actually become a group. So I feel like it was an important thing. It made us feel like we were connected, like by more than just being friends. It was like, well, we're contributing to something bigger than ourselves with this. You know, I mean, it's a funny joke, meme thing, word that somehow made it into all of our vocabularies. And now it's just like, now it's a group of musicians who want to make music with each other, perform music together.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think the future of it is really like, it would be really cool to make it into maybe some sort of label type of thing where, because as much as we're our own artists, we know people who are other artists too. And just to build a network of artists, I think is kind of what it is. So it's kind of just a name for a network, and it's good for promo. We had just played a show in Ardmore.
Yeah.
And on the poster that we incorporated the Mink Music logo. So that was an instance where it was helpful for branding. It's helpful for people to understand that, I think, we're a part of a bigger group.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all do our own things. I don't know. You should talk about that show in Ardmore.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. We had a show in like, it was like a little coffee shop thing, bookstore or whatever. And so like me and Crooked Hill like co-headlined it. And that was cool because like we did get to like use the Mink Collective Instagram to like push that and like
that was
kind
a
of
big
just
deal.
like that was. And like I have another show at the end of this month, and Casablanca and Side Contra are opening. And so like that's a whole like Mink thing, and it's with a brand called Off Kilter out of Ambler. And so like kind of that brand as well, that just like what they're doing there at Off Kilter is the same exact thing we're doing, is like connecting local artists, connecting local creative people, and like creating a network and a community within people that have the same desire and drive and whatever. And so like being able to take the Mink thing and our thing and bring it into the world and just like work with people and be creative with everybody, you know?
Yeah.
So that's been cool.
That's something I've seen come out a lot more in music these days. Like a lot of people are looking for that sort of community, that sort of reliance to lean on. And I think it's because music back in the day, like everyone knew each other. Everyone was cool with each other. Every artist knew every other artist in their area. They all worked together back in like the 60s, 70s, 80s. And then it felt like it almost died off a little bit in the 2000s when like the pop star and like you either are enormous or you are nothing as an artist. And now it's slowly coming back. Like the community aspect. People are like putting names on it, making their brands, like the Mink Collective. What was the other one? Off Kilter. Like those are amazing, because that is, because like instead of like, oh, one artist from each of them knows each other, no, like both brands are then colliding and everyone's intermingling. And then you know what, that's like, instead of you making one connection at a show, you just made 50.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you feel like that's really affected your artistry as a whole? Like, because you guys work together so much, do you feel like that's grown your sound? Has it ever inhibited your sound at all?
That's a good question.
Or do you feel like you've only ever seen like just positive growth from being able to work with these other artists, whether they have a similar sound or not? Because you all are fairly different in your genres and styles.
Right.
And preferences.
Preferences.
Yeah. I think I've seen a little bit of both. In the sense of like it's helped me form kind of like, I have an idea of what I want in my head, and I have all these other super talented people that like can contribute to that, and like we'll make it our own, and we'll like take what I have in my head and we'll make it into something that's like potentially even better, and like kind of growing the sound from that. And so especially with me as an artist, like trying to find my sound, even though like I've been making music since I was like 12. And so it's like over time, like I've found my sound through different like artists or influences that I've listened to, but now it's like influences of the people that I'm working with, and like that's huge, and that's shaped a lot of like my favorite songs, you know. like my song Hold Your Hand, like Quetzal Blanco helped me write that, and he put keys down, and we did a lot of the production together. Or like our song Melatonin, like Said Contra and Quetzal
That's a
Blanco.
cool story
and like,
about that
yeah,
one. Yeah.
like we were literally all just like jamming, and it just literally happened.
I think I walked into the apartment, Mink Palace, and you guys were doing stuff, and I was like, I walked into the room, you guys were like, we need something else. I think we need bass on this track. Grab the bass in the corner.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That
oh,
was
okay,
so
know the
epic.
chords. Lay it down, and it's like a great bass line.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's really cool,
yeah.
and it just happened. I think that's a really cool advantage of having that. If I may say something about like one thing I've seen in as like kind of the guitar guy, bass guy, is kind of like it's pretty easy to do the same thing over and over, not on purpose. So I can't tell you, like there have been times when like we want a guitar solo on this track, and I'll play it. And I'm like, wait, I can't do that. I did that on AJ's. Like I did that like on AJ's song. No, I can't do that on a Crooked Hill song.
Yeah.
So that
funny.
it's, and on a deeper level, it it can become kind of an echo chamber. But I think too, like we're all pretty self-aware. I'd like to think we are pretty self-aware. Like we're repeating ourselves or we're doing the same thing over again. Like, oh, that sounds like that other thing I did. We're good at catching that when it happens.
It's almost like a forced growth because like you have to change, so you have to come up with something new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Change or be changed, I guess. You know. Like,
Yeah.
I should ask him about. So, yeah, it's been really.
I don't know.
That is actually a question that I kind of ask. I'll ask, how do you describe your genre? How do you describe the music you do?
I would describe my genre just very base of like alt pop, but with influences of like Jeremy Zucker's like alternative pop.
Okay.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
sure.
Like I think that encompasses it. Because I do have it all comes from like all my different influences, and like talking about like my influences over time and seeing that come into like whatever genre I am now. It's like when I was a little kid, I was growing up on like the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah.
And, like, Justin Bieber was like, I want to be
3000,
like
right?
a pop star. Like I want to be like a Disney Channel kid. And then grows up in like elementary school, I like got into like Christian rap. And it was like that's where I learned about artists like Lecrae and Andy Mineo and like all the Reach Records guys. and like I wanted to do that, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna be a Christian rapper. And then I get into middle school and I start hearing like secular rap, and I was really into like Big Sean and Childish Gambino and like Logic and all those people. And then getting into high school, bringing in like alternative. I really liked a band called Colony House, and listened to like the band Camino or Laney, and they're like poppy alternative. And so bringing all of that in to like what I am now, like I definitely have like the hip hop. Like one of my main influences is the Killer Roy or like Post Malone and people like that are very like poppy mixed with hip hop. And then Jeremy Zucker is a huge one who's alternative, and you hear his like acoustic sounds and his like, stuff like that. Chelsea Cutler and like all of those people. And then coming into like my college things where it's like out of nowhere, like I got into hyper pop, which is huge. Hyper pop or like glitch pop.
Yep.
And like I love like Breakins is like a hyper pop artist, and like hearing other hyper pop artists taking their like ideas of like punk sounds and rock sounds and hip hop sounds and bringing into this huge, really weird creative space. And so like literally taking all of those things and then making it into like me. And so like with the Minks, like they've all helped me kind of like slowly graduate to like where I am now.
Yeah.
To where I'm able to like kind of take leaps of like, this is what I want. This is like exactly what I want to pull from all these different influences and genres and whatever. And like, this is the sound that I want.
I was gonna say, as you're listing each and every one of these artists, after you got past like the Christian rap, I'm like, all right, I can kind of hear that. Every time you're listening to new artists, I'm like, oh, I hear it. I hear that. I can hear that. Like I see how it all comes together in your stuff, and even in the past couple of years, like I've seen your sound change a bit. Because I remember, I think the first time I ever heard you was when I barely knew any of the bands at the time, and now I'm friends with like half of you. When there was the Vista Blue, Fare Thee Well, Crooked Hill, and you, I think, performing at High Point.
Woo!
Because I was the audio guy at the venue that
Let's
night.
go. Bless up. That was the Vista Blue first gig.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you were performing with Crooked Hill. Right. He was the opener. Fare Thee Well went second. Vista Blue was third. That was a cool show.
Yeah.
There's tape of that on YouTube.
There is?
Shout out my dad. Gotta represent.
Yo, you gotta send me that link because I kind of want to go back and watch that and like critique my mix.
Yeah. Well, it's a camera.
I played drums for that, right?
Yeah,
you played
did.
drums for like I remember you like swapping off with someone in the middle of the set. I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah. That's funny.
Yep. Yeah, that video is there.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's always been like to watch you, Andrew, take the genre thing. It's been cool to see you walk through different genres. Like when I first met you, you were a rapper in my head. Like AJ just raps. He knows how to write flows. Like it was cool. And started distancing yourself from that. I don't know what I think No Words was like one of your last rap songs that you put on Spotify. Yeah. It's still there, I think.
And Stay Down.
And Stay Down, right? Yeah. That was pretty rap influenced. But like that was kind of the transition into like the pop scene, the pop idea. Mm-hmm. And I think, I've been impressed about how you've navigated both of them. It's been cool to see that. I think I was pretty excited when you started writing things with guitar in it. Like that was pretty cool because
Paul's like, I can actually play on this now.
Yeah, there was a time my sophomore year of college, we were barely friends, and I came over to your room with my roommate. That was like the first time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that? And I had I don't even remember what we were doing, but there's pictures.
Yeah,
it was cool.
That's crazy.
Genre is such a fascinating.
It's interesting listening to people like compartmentalize themselves because that's one of my least favorite things about music is I don't want to see anyone compartmentalize themselves. And I like how you've kind of like you just flow in wherever it feels like you need to with your stuff, especially after hearing all this. Like it's nice hearing someone feel like they can just go where they need to with their music. And sometimes that can almost be limiting for an artist in the industry because then they could almost alienate certain parts of their audience. But depending on how you do it, it could also just expand your audience like crazy.
Yeah, like I definitely try. I mean, like if I sit down, I write all my songs essentially like sitting down with a guitar now, which is crazy because like I had never done that before. And like even being on the band with Paul that we traveled with in college, and like a lot of what I learned on the guitar was from him, and like him like teaching me how to play like a worship song, and then like him showing me like stuff that we would sound check with, like if we would sound check with like a secular song or whatever, and, like me not knowing how to play it. And so he would teach me, and so like I would take that and I would be like, okay, like now I know how to play this chord, or now I know what this means or whatever, and like hearing that context and then being able to like go home and like sit with the guitar and like hear something in my head and want to play it, and then like going from there with the acoustic sound and like seeing how that stems from like being on like a worship team with like, I don't know, musicians, and like appreciating the musicianship of everything. But yeah,
that is a part of your experience and my experience that I think I did not fully appreciate was like the worship influence. Like playing on worship teams together.
True.
Is a big part of how the two of us play together, and how the Mink Collective even plays together, because we and AJ were on that band together, and then Crooked Hill was in that band with us. And so that was like, I think that was really where I really honed my performance like skills,
It's almost like getting your reps in.
Yeah,
And like
it really
doing
is.
doing that helps you all like get tighter together because you learned how the other person played and how
Yes.
they
Right.
like to approach
Yeah.
the music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We would improv together.
Yeah.
Improvise. We would improv together, and yeah, we would create stuff. And we had vocalists too who were good at improving. There was just a whole lot of creativity on all of the teams that we were on. We had a revolving door of people, but honestly, I think it'd be cool to you talk about like your worship. I'm curious to hear how that influences what you write, because I know you have a song called Willow.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually don't know if I have the full backstory on that or where that came from,
Yeah.
but how like church music and worship music influence.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, I mean, like, again, like I said, like I started off wanting to do like Christian rap, and it was like, oh, I want to like honor God with the things that I'm saying, but I had an issue with that because it was like I'm saying these things, but I'm not living them out.
Ooh.
So like, why would I put myself in the position where I'm like saying these things about my faith when I'm not like actually living that way? And so I would start writing about the things that I actually was living and the things that I was going through and all of that stuff. And so like that felt like the worship in and of itself, because it was like, well, yeah, these are real life things, and like I'll talk about like how I see God in this, whether it's like a great like thank you God, like trusting you type of vision of like how I see it, or if it's like the really like realistic idea of like people being like, well, God, like where are you, like what's going on here, like this has happened over and over again, like a psalm type of like lament. And like that's real, and that's like what I feel, and that's what I know people feel, and that's what I know Christians feel. And so like I wanted to make that super like prevalent in the music that I write, so that people can feel like supported and feel like seen, heard, and like understood with that. And so like the Willow song, that was like the last song on my last project called Weep. And that whole project essentially was going through songs, like because of the title, like Weep, is songs that were like laments and confusion about like, I'm going through these things, God, like where are you actually? Who are you? Who am I? Who did you create me to be? Like, why are these things happening in my life? Why are things the way they are? And so that song I wrote when I was working as a worship leader at a summer camp out like right outside Harrisburg. And yeah, I like was reading in Isaiah 40 and like literally took like 30 minutes to kind of just like write creative stuff from that.
Did you write that on the piano?
No, I wrote it on guitar,
Ah,
but it was cool because I would like play it on the piano.
yeah. You showed it to me on the piano.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And so like it was a cool song because it was like my feeling that I was getting from like scripture.
Yeah.
And something that I was feeling like this is like something that I really actually think God's showing me is like in this season where I feel like things are going completely wrong and things are very confusing. Like at the end of the day, like all of these things like in the world and in my life that I feel are super real to me, like they're real, but God's bigger than that. God's in control of what I don't know in the future. And the cool thing is like the idea of like God being in control and being the same yesterday and today and forever, you know, and like all of the things that I'm worried about right now and the anxieties that I have, like those aren't going to last forever. They weren't made to last forever.
Yeah.
And they had a beginning and they'll have an end, but God doesn't have any of that. And so kind of saying like, you know, like the song says like the willow withers and the flowers fade away, but the word of the Lord stands forever. And like, that's what I want to show with my music in general. So that's like a very important song to me. And like, that's how I wrote it with one of my buddies at camp too. And like, he worked on like the bridge with me. And like, we kind of like sang the bridge with a bunch of campers, and it was really cool. Like we literally just
I
like
didn't know that.
basically what happened with that was like I didn't write a bridge.
Yeah.
And like he was like, yo, you should like play this for the set tonight. And I was like, okay, there's no bridge. What are we gonna do?
You need a bridge in a
And-
worship song.
I know
need a
exactly. So I was like,
you gotta
I
play
don't
it 5 times too.
right.
Yeah.
What are you gonna repeat? And I was like, I don't know what to say because like at that point it was like I want this legitimately to like I'm not somebody who wants to go like on a stage during a worship set and play my own songs ever because that's like not about me. But he was saying like like you should just like give it a shot and like see what happens and like honestly like pray about it with the campers before you sing it and like allow them to understand what it's about and allow them to see where you're coming from and like how God's speaking through it and how God's speaking to you and all those things. And so like I sang it and we prayed over it like with all the high school campers and it was super cool. And we ended up kind of just like singing whatever for the bridge and like it just happened. And it was like a cool feeling because it's like a simple bridge and it's not anything crazy. Like it wasn't like, I don't know, but
Now I wish you did Willow for the session because I'm like really curious
yeah,
to hear it.
it's a cool song.
We'll
and like
just have to do another.
we
session.
could, that's true. But like the bridge is literally like saying, who can love me like you do? No one can love me like you do. Who can care for me like you do? No one can care for me like you do. And a lot of what I had been feeling and a lot of the songs, even like the Wheat Project, were about like, oh, I want to be loved by this girl. I want to be cared for by this girl. Or like this person, even in general. And like, I want to feel the love. And it's like at the end of the day, like any idea of love that I've created in my mind or care that I've created in my mind or that's been shown to me by another human being, it's like, well, the only thing that can match that or be like better than that at all is like God's love, because that's like not human. Like that's completely divine, and like there's nothing better than that. And that's the only thing that can satisfy you. That's the only like love that can satisfy you. And like me having like seen that, like that's what I wanted to kind of show to the campers and like have them feel that. And like that was a cool moment for us that night. And so like that's why it was important for me I wanted to put it on the project, just because like it encompassed the project so well and like my music so well.
I felt that too when I heard it. You were at my apartment in Philadelphia and you had said that you're gonna put that on, and I was like pretty like surprised. And like, but it does fit and it's cool. It recontextualizes everything else that you did on the project, and it's a good bookend to it.
And like from that too, like my friend John or Quetzalblanca, he like read a verse at the end of the song, and it's like just a verse that he like he found on his own. Like I left him in the room with the song for like however, and he just like sat there and listened to it and like kind of like felt it and understood it, and like he read that scripture, and like the end of that, the little piece of the end of the scripture, I don't have it memorized.
Yeah.
Come on,
it's saying, it like ends with like, I will give thanks to you like always, forever.
Yeah.
And in that, like, I think it matched well with the song. It's like, in God being faithful forever, like we should be faithful and we should be thankful forever. Yeah. And so like that's kind of like that's what I have in like my Instagram bio, like, and like that's huge, because it's like, as much as I talk about sad stuff in my music, at the end of the day, it's like still I want to give thanks to God forever. Still I want to acknowledge like
still recognizing what it is that's there for you.
Yeah, forever. And that's super cool. And that's how I feel about that and
awesome.
The rest of my music. But yeah.
Honestly, I think that's probably like the best positive message that like could end this at all. But yeah. But dude, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing about that, about your music, about Mint Collective, everything. What would be the best way for everyone to keep up with you? Yeah, so my Instagram is at Andrew J Narvaez, and that's Narvaez. Thank you for spelling that. Yes, and people will see my confusion. Yeah. It's and I have my links in my bio. You can find me on Spotify, iTunes, literally anywhere that you listen to music, and yeah. And Raymond Paul. And Raymond Paul.
I'm on the gram reluctantly, but
The man's still out here with his flip phone.
that's right. That's right. But I'm on the gram. Use it for business. So follow me at Raymond.Paul.2. That's my Instagram. It's a public profile. Follow me. Give me a message. Hit me up. Let's work together. Let's do stuff. I want to make music for the rest of my life. I'm doing well so far at 23. But yeah, hit me up.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on and taking the time
Thank
to
you.
share these stories and share about yourselves.
Yeah,
What a joy.
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. Till next time.
Cool.
You just went and led me to the tracks and you pushed me. Now I'm thinking we might never talk again. Should've